Hey guys, Dan here. Welcome to another edition of Dan Reviews It, talking about the Connors once again, and the latest episode, The Separation of Church and Dan. So, basically, this was the second episode filmed for the season, and I would say was probably meant to be the second chronologically, because it deals a lot with the death of the Roseanne character. I'm guessing that maybe because ABC sort of sensed that, okay, people will look in on the first episode to see, what's going on and how they're going to handle the death of Roseanne and all that. But then, people are going to drop off. So let's make the second episode about David. Let's make the third episode the Halloween episode and keep people coming in with big episodes, so it doesn't look like the ratings are maybe dropping off a little bit. So then they shelved this one till this week for episode 4. So it's a little bit odd, I think, because certain things that had already come up are not coming up. Like, I don't know. Like, basically, there's nothing about Becky's alcoholism, which they don't need to do that every episode, but there was, nothing about that. And Gina seemed more present than she was in the last couple episodes, which is great. I like the Gina character. I like that they're giving her, things to do. But, it just chronologically, it seemed a little off. But they do have a Thanksgiving reference towards the beginning. So that was, they were talking about, Jackie and Darlene were talking about, hey, like, your mom did all the holiday planning, like, what are we going to do for Thanksgiving and Christmas? And then Darlene makes a joke about how they're going to spend their yearly budget on Halloween, like they do every year, and not worry about the rest. Which is funny, because I commented just last week about how I just don't ever think they can afford Halloween on their salaries, realistically. So I'm glad they actually addressed that. And one of my commenters on that podcast as well said that, hey, John Goodman was also commenting to, I forget, one of the morning shows, I think she said, about, yeah, apparently Dan spends, his old salary or 2-year salary on Halloween. So, okay, I'm glad they addressed that, because that was a funny line. But so, yeah, it was a little weird, but, the most obvious thing is Dan is really grieving the loss of Roseanne in a way that I think a person would if it had just happened. I don't know. I mean, I guess there is something to be said for sort of, not getting those emotions right away, sort of, plugging them down, and then once you have a little time to breathe, maybe after Halloween, the reality sinks in that your wife's not with you, and I don't know, but it seemed to me that was definitely meant to be the second episode. But, okay, regardless of that, I thought it was a good episode. I don't think it was great, largely because of this really shoehorned in plot about politics with Mark and Jackie going to the mall to poll people. It was a funny scene. Jackie was going off on people about her politics. So I enjoyed the scene. I laughed, but it didn't go anywhere. It didn't contribute to the episode at all. Like, there was a short blurb about it in the intro, and then just smack dab in the middle of the episode was a scene about it, and then that was it. Like, there wasn't anything about it. So that part was kind of weird to me. It was just like, it was almost like a skit in the middle of the episode. And then, so the two main plots, though, that's definitely like the B or C plot. The main plot is Dan grieving Roseanne, and then the B story, if you will, was about church and DJ not taking his girl to church for the last 2 years, and Gina was like, "Yo, like that's our thing. Like I always took our daughter to church. Why haven't you been?" And it's an interesting question. why hasn't he been? You know, that never gets explored. They never talk about it, and it's funny because DJ was the one in the original series who actually went and sort of sought out religion in an episode where, you know, he didn't want his parents to know because he thought it was, you know, he was trying to hide it from them. So I thought it was sort of interesting that he was the one who then chose not to take his child to church. And of course the argument is, oh, well, you know, Mark and Harris don't go to church, you know, and Darlene reveals she's an atheist. I don't know if she revealed that in the main Roseanne series or not, but she talked about it here a little bit. So it's like this really like mixed bag for this episode. But I got a lot of laughs out of it. I think the most laughs since the premiere. So that was good. I mean, I laughed a lot. And I'll tell you what, I am coming around on Lacey Goranson. I thought she was really good this episode, and she actually had a bit of a role, because obviously with her losing her husband years ago, she was sort of the only one Dan was able to turn to sort of get advice. He did end up going to this group therapy thing, which, I don't know, that scene was, like, interesting. I don't know if it was hilarious, but, you know, it had some moments in it. And John Goodman did a great job this episode of conveying all these different emotions. You know, in the opening scene, he's on the chair on the porch watching TV with the door wide open. You know, in this, you know, obviously huge funk. You know, having lost his wife, but you know, nobody can really help him. Everybody's like, oh, what can we do? What can we do? Nothing. You know. So the two things that seemed to help him was getting back on his Harley, which, you know, Roseanne didn't like, so he hadn't ridden in a while. So that was one. But really talking to Becky about, you know, what she did when Mark passed. I thought that was a great scene between the two of them. And I actually thought Lacey did a good job, not only in that scene, but really throughout the whole episode. So I think... I don't know. We'll see where the season takes us with her, but I'm really coming around to her. I think she's much better in the Connors than she was in the season 10 of Roseanne. So, yeah. So you know, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Like even the church scene. I don't know. I thought maybe they could have taken out the subplot about the politics and really, you know, fleshed out the church scene a little bit more, or maybe had a lengthier scene with DJ and Darlene where he's trying to convince her, like, hey, can you please come to church and, you know, show Gina that we can do this, and show my daughter that, you know, your kids can go. And her daughter Harris was not in the episode at all, and that is explained. You know, she's away picking up trash or something. It was a jokey line, but you know, obviously, I don't know. The actress maybe had some other, you know, film commitment or something. Who knows? But yeah. So I like. Okay, so I like that Jackie has more of a role in the Connors than she did in the last season of Roseanne. I do like that, because I think with the addition of all the Roseanne and Dan grandkids, Jackie just sort of didn't really quite have a place every episode. You know, I think she was in every episode, but there was a few where she was only like, she would have like a few lines, like 2 or 3 lines, and then that was it. So now she's in a lot more, which I love. I just that subplot, it just didn't go anywhere, you know, other than for a few laughs in one scene. It just, like I said, it just kind of seemed like a skit in the middle of the show. But with that being said, let's talk about the whole politics of it, because obviously everybody was, you know, all up in arms about the politics of season 10 Roseanne. Oh my God, the politics. And I've talked on this channel about how you know, other than that first episode where they were very political, and then maybe like the neighbor episode where Roseanne, you know, is showing her racist colors there. You know, I did not find the show very political, other than, you know, the first episode and maybe here or there. You know, so I thought it was interesting that as much flack as they got for being so political, they did a whole scene about politics without the other side. Okay, so basically, and I know if you're watching this, you probably saw the episode, so I'm not really telling you information. But basically, Mark has a school project, and so he's going to the mall to poll people about if they voted and whether they are registered Democrat or Republican. So we do run into a few Republicans too, I guess. And Jackie, gets into like a heated debate with the one and sort of chases the other one off with a Make America Great Again hat. It's a funny joke, and obviously Laurie Metcalf plays it off great. What a pro, we know this. But I just thought it was interesting because I felt got Jackie's side of it. Like, you see the Democratic side of it, whereas last year, because Roseanne is like the voice of the show, or was, at that point, I think we got more of a mixed, balance. I think you got more of a Republican view just because Roseanne always gets the last word kind of thing, but it showed both sides, Here I thought it was just sort of, Jackie looked kind of crazy, I don't know. Like, as a Democrat, I like more of a balance, I don't need my shows to be heavily, left or blue wave or whatever. Just because I don't really like politics in my sitcoms anyway, but if they're going to do that, I don't know. I thought Jackie she was in crazy Jackie mode a little bit, which is usually funny, but I think it's more funny when it's more based around the family and not based around politics, I guess. So the whole scene just seemed off to me, but it was funny. Like, I laughed, and Jackie was funny, especially in the intro when she's like telling Mark that, okay, like, you can't be partisan, like, you have to just ask the question, and you can't show your sides or whatever. And then right away, like, she launches in. Like, that was funny, classic Jackie. But I just thought it was a weird choice that they would be so political, sort of right out of the gate, since this was, I think supposed to be the second episode. But yeah, so it was a mixed bag of an episode, but funny. Definitely the funniest one since the premiere, but all over the place at the same time, But I'm glad that Lacey Goranson is really, coming back into her Becky chops. I just honestly, and I said this last year, I just think she was away too long. I think she was away too long and wasn't really doing acting, and can't blame her. She wants to have a life of her own and do other things, and I'm sure she gets enough money from Roseanne, the original series, that she doesn't need to work if she doesn't have, want to or whatever. She can probably live okay, comfortably. So, but I think it took her a little bit of time, but now I'm like, yeah, okay, she's cool. Like, we'll see, like I said, where the rest of the season takes her. I would love if they, focus a little more on the alcohol storyline, in a couple episodes, and give her something to do there. But yeah, I mean, I thought she did a good job, and that's a great scene with her and John Goodman in the garage for sure. So I'm gonna give the episode a B. I think just because it was kind of all over the place, but I liked where it was going. I liked the humor in it. I just thought there was too much going on, and really shoehorning that political subplot in seemed weird. It seemed like an odd choice. But all right, so that is it. Thank you for watching. Next week we'll be back with another one for episode 5. And God, then we're almost halfway. These short seasons are like crazy. I mean, I watch a lot of shows that have 10 episodes or 13 episode seasons, but I also watch a lot of shows with 22 or 24 episode seasons. So I would love to have 24 episodes of The Conners, but we'll get 10, and I think the ratings are good enough at this point that they will renew it, if I'm being honest. But we'll see. So yeah, next week we'll be back, and then it'll be halfway done the season already. So comment below. Love hearing from you guys. Tell me your thoughts on the episode. Tell me your thoughts on my review of the episode if you like, whatever. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.